So Trump issued his proclamation designating TDA as targets of the Alien Enemies Act for summary apprehension and removal. The act gives the president sole authority to determine the manner of the enemy aliens' restraint and removal, as well as to establish any regulations necessary to ensure public safety. That's literally the language of the Alien Enemies Act. Trump issued that proclamation on March 15th that all Venezuelan citizens who are members of Tren de Aragua are liable to be apprehended and removed under the Alien Enemies Act due to the threat the organization poses to the United States and its clear entanglement with the government of Venezuela. So it's a quasi-state entity working with the government of Venezuela as part of Venezuela's strategy to destabilize American democracy through violence of action, human trafficking, drug dealing, murder, other bad things. The president declared that members of Tren de Aragua are ineligible for the benefits of Section 22 of the Act, meaning they don't get to get their affairs in order before they're deported and are liable to immediate apprehension and removal. He directed the Attorney General, Secretary of Homeland Security, to immediately begin doing this, despite the broad authority given by the Constitution to the president. When conducting matters of foreign affairs and national security, James E. Bosberg knowingly interfered with the president's execution of foreign policy by ordering the return of members of a designated terrorist organization to the United States. To justify his action, Bosberg cited questions concerning the interpretation of certain words and phrases, which are intimately tied to the president's foreign policy powers and beyond the scope of review of the courts. In doing so, James Bosberg knowingly extended beyond the bounds of power of his office and unjustly interfered in the execution of foreign policy and national security for partisan purposes of halting the implementation of the president's foreign policy and political gain. Remember, Judge Bosberg's wife, daughter, sister are all members of the swamp opposed to President Trump's policies. So they certainly receive political gain from Trump's policies being thwarted. And they are immediately family members of Judge Bosberg, bringing them within the code of conduct for U.S. judges and the mandatory shall disqualify oneself as a judge in a case if immediate family members have an interest in the proceedings. Certainly his daughter clearly does, as she works for an NGO providing resources to illegal migrants. Accordingly, under the Good Behavior Clause, these actions of Judge Bosberg constitute misbehavior, render him liable for removal. He should be removed for failing to maintain good behavior in office and no longer be considered a judge of the United States. Now, earlier I said I found this thing to be weak.